what are you saying? Like, so you're in the real estate business, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Residential or commercial?
Primarily residential. I do commercial, but most of my agents do residential.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess, how is your business being impacted right now, or how do you foresee it being impacted over the next 30 days or so?
Right now, it's kind of unique because your first guess would be that our business would be slowing and we'd be seeing a lot of challenges. And though we are seeing challenges, we're not seeing the slowdown that I was expecting when this first happened. When
Mm.
you look at what we did through March compared over last year, same March, I think we're up in new contracts 7.9% in San Antonio, and the whole
Wow.
state board is, which really is contradictory to what you would expect you'd see out there.
Mhm.
But what we are seeing a lot less of, and it's actually a blessing, is tire kickers. So we're getting far fewer tire kickers. So we're getting a lot less inquiries. We're getting a lot less requests to see properties. But
Mm.
when people are out and looking at homes right now, they're buying. And
Mm.
so we've seen this month, not only did contracts increase, but I think we saw a 2.3% increase in price per square foot. If you compare this to last March, and that's even if you take like a 12-month index over both of those time periods. So it's not just a blip on the radar. I think we're because of the interest rates are driving people into the market, even with this uncertainty. It's when you're making the biggest bet of your life, this is the time to make that bet. And
Mhm.
so I think that we're still seeing serious buyers take advantage of this. And they're also not knowing what's going to be on the market in a few months, so they're acting faster. So just within our anecdotal office, we've seen that the average showings go down from 17 houses, or excuse me, from 10 houses per showing to 7.
Mm.
So we're seeing about a 30% decrease in the number of houses they're seeing before they're making a decision. So I think all this uncertainty is driving people towards decision, which is kind of contrary to what you would expect.
Yeah. Well, I have a belief that your emotional state in life determines your decisions, and those decisions determine your destiny. And so it's interesting that this emotional state of uncertainty is actually, it sounds like, potentially causing people to make maybe positive decisions. You know, they're running to real estate
Yeah.
because real estate is likely to hold its value over time. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and and that uncertainty in some cases for people is driving them to make really poor decisions.
Of course.
I'm excited to hear. It's a great, is what I wanted to hear on this show is people making some positive decisions despite maybe having some fear and uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, and I think what's also interesting is I believe that there's a reason that expression of let me sleep on it is around. People make better decisions when they're rested. I
Mhm.
think forcing people to slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
Now, again, this is just my opinion, but forcing people to slow down a little bit has rested their minds, and they're making more sound decisions because of it. I think it goes back to the idea that we are not better when we multitask. We're better when we single line, attack, and people are able to do that now. They're not being pulled into, pointless meetings over here about this or that. They're not chasing kids at school, doing school activities, and so they're able to focus their decisions on the important decisions they're making, and it seems to be in the short term really paying off, at least for us in our market.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great insight. And I think in terms of giving advice to our audience too about what they should be doing or shifts that they can make in terms of their thinking, their mindset or their actions is um, take your time, think things through because you have it right now. You have an endless amount of people to talk to because people aren't doing a whole lot. So
Yeah.
maybe, right, your business partner that was really busy or your wife that was busy, you've got a lot of feedback that you can get that you otherwise wouldn't. I'm pulling people onto this show like Emmett Smith and Mark Cuban and countless others,
Sure.
because they have the time to lend. And so
Hmm.
I think taking advantage of bouncing ideas off of other people that can help you make
Agreed.
decisions, right?
Yeah, 100% of the reason why I wanted to jump on the show with you. I kind of, my business model is a little different, just like yours, in that I run a real estate company, but we don't do splits or transaction fees. We're a subscription based real estate business also. And so, I'm certainly curious as to how what your quote COVID pivot is going to be out of all of this, and how you guys are looking to attack this subscription model.
Yeah, well, so we're not only a brick and mortar service-based business, but we're also a manufacturer and distributor
Well,
of
cool.
products. So everything that you see on the retail shelves at the Gents Place is either manufactured by us or distributed by us.
Nice.
And we've had decade-long relationships in China with factories in China, and so we are importing masks right now, and we are selling masks to the hospitals and to essential businesses is one of
Hmm.
our pivots in our distribution company. We're not shipping out any product to anybody right now,
Yeah,
aside from the occasional online order. But we're looking at what assets do we have and how do we match those assets up with the new market demand
sure.
for PPE. And so that was kind of my thing is what assets do I have? Well, I have a warehouse, I have warehouse workers, I have a distribution system, I have shipping systems, I have relationships in China. Let me leverage all of those things and see if there's a match with demand in the market. And there was, and there still is. And so, that's our big positive shift right now. It's not a long-term thing. At some
Sure.
point, people aren't going to need to buy masks from Rascal Holdings.
Hopefully. Yeah.
But what we can do right now is serve the community and people in need and leverage our relationships in China and elsewhere to help meet that need.
And to that point, I think that what most people don't have distribution centers and all that sort of stuff. But I think what most people, especially the people that you come in contact with, do have right now is ideas and time. And those two things together can be really valuable, considering we usually pack our days with a lot of shit for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't get to really explore those. So I think that's something that I have been trying to take more time. I'm never short on ideas. And so I've been budgeting time throughout the day that I would normally be doing all the minutia of my regular business to this other times, to brainstorming, to calling people, to reading, to that sort of stuff, to see if I can spark a fire in some of those things. So I would encourage something along those lines as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds cliche, but there are so many people that say that the best investment you can make is one in yourself. And with all of the time that people have right now, you can make massive investments in yourself, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's doing meditation or exercising or connecting with people or learning a new craft or picking up, an old hobby or
Mm-hmm.
finishing school. There's a lot of people out there that just have, they got 12 more credits left to finish
Yeah.
their associate's or their bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And so that I agree that we've got time on our hands, and there's investments that can be made in yourself and in other people as well. And so I'm curious, in your real estate business, if you've got some folks right now that are struggling, they lost their job, they're getting a couple months of deferment on their house, they're considering, they got some equity in their house.
Yeah.
And you're kind of going, man, is this the time to sell? Should I try to put it on the market? I try to capture some of that equity to hold me over. I know each case is different. You can't give kind of a blanket answer, but what should you do if let's say you're in that bucket of you're open to the idea of selling your house because you have some equity in it? How would you advise someone like that?
Well, I think you got to start with any client in any environment to ask what their goals are. I think if they're just looking to avoid possible disaster of the market crashing and get out now while I still have some equity, then that's a completely speculative approach, especially considering very few people in this world living have dealt with a pandemic, right? So we don't really know. We know that the framework of our economy is the same. Here in San Antonio, we're fairly sheltered because we've got a diverse economy. We've got multiple military bases, so that stuff helps. But so it's a complete guess with that regard. But if your goal is just to test the market, the only way to test the market is to put your home on the market, right? And if you're going to do that, I'd ask you, number one, where do you plan on going? You know, if you plan on going somewhere, if you're selling without a place to go, that really will take the rug out from underneath you in terms of leverage and negotiating. Because if shit hits the fan, you're going to give it all away to just make sure that your very thin plan works, right? Also, it would depend on your price point. So if you're 2 times above the median price point, I would really be cautious about just throwing stuff on the market right now, because what we're seeing is lenders are shaky AF right now. Like, they're just not. I've had a couple deals where we've been told we needed 2 more weeks to get it done. Then at the end of 2 weeks, we've got no products for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So when you're pushing the envelope with this sort of stuff, and say you get a good buyer, now you have to depend on the mortgage market. That's really questionable. Now, if you're at the market average or less, at least from what I've seen in the short time, there's no shortage of buyers for you. If your home's move-in ready and you've got a place to go and you want to test the market, do it. Buy that next move-up house at a great interest rate right now. Take advantage of this because the bottom hasn't fallen out of the market. You may be able to perceive yourself as having more leverage when you do that move-up house. So for me, it just depends. You got to have a plan for where you're going to go, and B, you have to have an understanding of who's going to buy your home and is there financing for those people right now.
Yeah, I heard 2 things that I think are really important if you are a potential seller. One is you got to make sure that buyer has financing in place before you go through the pain of executing a contract, going through the option period, and getting to a successful close. And so you probably need to vet that out, make sure you got the approval letters when maybe you weren't asking for them that early on. And then on the buy side, if you do happen to have a really great buyer, you may think that you were a great credit risk to a lender up until this point, but maybe you're not anymore. Maybe your bank has run out of liquidity because they've lent all the money out through the Paycheck Protection Act, right? Yeah. So you probably need to circle up with your lender before you even maybe list your own house to see if you can get approved for whatever you're looking to buy next, right?
Mm-hmm. And, just generally speaking, the devil you know in real estate is almost always better than the devil you don't know. We know what today's market looks like. We can predict pretty closely what you're going to get for your home. If you're thinking, well, I might wait till the middle of the summer when it's the hot market, who knows what happens? If this continues through summertime, there's no way, I don't see a way our market can sustain the growth that we've seen with the contraction of the economy. Mm-hmm. So, the devil is usually the better choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if the real estate might be great right now, but if the economy continues the way that it looks like it may be going, there's only one way it can end up in the short term, at least, is things are going to go down, right?
Yeah.
Overall. Yeah, I totally see that. Well, listen, my friend, I got a ton of interviews to do, but my wife's in real estate, and so I appreciate she does it part-time, but she's had her license for 15 years. I appreciate your perspective, super knowledgeable, and real estate is, in most cases, the biggest asset that an American citizen owns.
Agreed.
And it's an important part of your net worth. It's an important part of your future. And I think anybody that is considering transacting in real estate, go and talk to your broker, go and talk to your lenders, find someone like yourself. Obviously, if you're in San Antonio, then by all means, reach out to you directly, but find a competent broker that is in tune with the market, knows what's going on, and isn't trying to sell you something because they need the money, right?
Yeah.
Just
trying to hype the market. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you got plenty of people to talk to. So look forward to sharing a beer with you when you come down to San Antonio.
I will be there for it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Take care, buddy.